All right, so this lecture is going to give you an overview of the communication project. So when you get on Blackboard, if you wish, you can pull up the text version of the lecture and look through some of the material on another go-round to make sure you are 100% sure of what you're doing for this project. There's also some great quotes here. I mean, some of these are some of the best quotes I've heard in a long time. So take a moment and check them out. But for the second half of the term, which I call session 2, you will be asked to complete a communication project. So for this project, you need to pick a person in your life that you feel like you could enhance the effectiveness of your communication with. Now, this does not have to be someone that you see conflict with. You don't have to really have that, quote, bad communication that was up at the top. It just needs to be communication that can be enhanced. The relationship that you pick, you want to pick one that you hope will change for the better. And at the end of the term, you'll have had a chance to interview this person and hopefully make progress towards the goal. So the project is going to be submitted in parts, and each of the parts are explained below. So part 1 is worth 50 points. You have 2 pieces to this part. The first piece is what we call the foundation sheet, and when you get on the text version of the lecture, you'll notice this is actually linked. So let me show you kind of what it is. When you get onto it, it's a document here that gives you an overview of what all you need to include in the foundation sheet, and you can actually click on these sections and enter them in to submit to me. So this is a pretty easy form to fill out here. Okay? Each of the parts are going to have links here. So all of the documents that go with each of the parts are going to be linked here, but also in the week that each part is due. You'll have the documents there too. And they'll be in both PDF and Word document format. If you choose PDF, it is not going to allow you to type into the boxes. But that's okay. You can just create a new file if you want. But if you choose the .docx, you'll be able to type right into the boxes, save it to your computer, and then submit that to me. So the foundation sheet just gives me basically an overview of the person that you chose for the project. So you're going to fill out this form in regards to that person and tell me your reason for choosing the person along with any goals you have for the interview. So you need to fill out the form completely and submit it to me by the deadline provided. So in this case, it'll be due in week 10. So I need to know exactly what is going to be completed and all of the material that you have come up with for that person. So why you chose the person, how you plan to introduce yourself to them. We'll have that in a discussion forum. Maybe some of your goals that you hopefully have, some of the fears that you might have encountered about this interview process, and so on. So give me kind of an overview of that. And then in your interview questions sheet, you're going to tell me 10 questions that you think would be good for this particular interview. Now here's the key. Remember that this is an interview that should have questions about the communication between you and that person. Occasionally I've had students that will create interview questions that are only about the person they're interviewing. Why did you choose the job you chose? What's your favorite things to do? That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for questions that do a service to the communication that you and that person are having. So you might say, how do you think, or how effective do you think our communication conflict resolution is? Or how effective do you think our conflict resolution is? It might be something like that. It has to do with the two of you. So these questions, all 10 of them, need to be open-ended, and they need to deal with both of you, not necessarily with just that one person. A few of the questions can deal with just that one person, but in most cases it needs to be both of you. You are going to submit all 10 questions as well as a specific goal that you wish to achieve for each question. So you're going to basically tell me what you want to ask and why you asked it. And your questions should incorporate concepts and terminology from the stuff we've learned in class. So you will use your textbook here, basically. So anyway, this is kind of the part of the project that you're going to use to keep progressing forward. This just gives me an overview. This gives me the next step. Okay, so this is all worth 50 points, and then you go to part 2, which is worth 100 points, and this is just the actual interview itself. You can choose how you approach this. I personally would record it, either audio record or video record, is up to you. But I personally would record it and not worry about too many notes until you get to the transcript part. Okay? I've done quite a few of these interviews with analyses and transcript writing and all of that, and I find that to be the most effective way to do things. Just sit and talk to the person. Don't write a bunch of stuff down. It can sometimes make them nervous. Just listen to them, ask a couple of questions, and then when you're done, go back and transcribe what they said. So after receiving the approval, because you do want to wait until I say, hey, all these questions are good to go, because occasionally there'll be questions that I think could lead to an argument or lead to a fight, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to approve the questions first, and then you can set up a date and a time to interview your subject, so whoever it is. You want to record those findings, so audio or video, and then below provide the answers to all of these questions. So you're going to obviously give me what the question is that you asked and what your goal was. Then you're going to transcribe their answer. So you're going to type in exactly what they said, even the ers and ums, you knows, that's always worth putting in there, trust me. Any nonverbals you noticed? Were there points that they were silent? Did they fold their arms and lean back? Did they lean forward? Did they laugh? What of those nonverbals played a part? And there's always nonverbals. Even just looking comfortable is a form of nonverbal. So there's definitely a nonverbal in every question. There's no point in which you should put no nonverbals in it. And then you're also, after this is all done, so after you've gone through all of these pieces, you're going to give me an analysis of each question. This is where you're going to provide a brief paragraph for each question, analyzing the response you received and how you felt about it. You'll want to consider some of the concepts that you've learned so far and apply them as needed for each of those questions. So you may have a question on, like we said, pseudo-listening. And the person kind of gave you a cockeyed look and said, well, I don't have any issues with pseudo-listening. Well, that alone tells you what they think about your issues with pseudo-listening. So you want to tell me, well, man, when he said it that way, that pause and then the emphasis on the word I, it really made me feel like there was bitterness to that response. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking for, is an analysis here of that particular question and answer session. And it should be for every single question, not one analysis total, but 10 small analyses for each question, or 10 small analyses total, one for each question. Alrighty, and there are obviously little transcripts and or there are little forms here as well if you want to use them and just fill in the blanks. Part 3 is the summary, and that's due at the end of the semester. Part 3 will give me an overview of what happened during the semester. So you are going to give me what your goals were and if you felt like they were met, and if your relationship changed in any way. So did you feel like that it benefited you? Was it a drawback? Maybe it didn't really do anything yet at all. You don't know. It happens pretty fast, so it could be any of the above. And then number 3, what have you learned regarding your communication style as it was before you took the class and then also after the class? And this is going to be done in week 16. So it's basically the last day of classes when this is due. Like I said, there'll be templates for all 3 parts. Every single one of these will have something available during the week that it's supposed to be submitted in. So please, if you have questions, let me know, and I will answer them as best I can. But I don't see any issues, hopefully, with the process unless there is a problem with the person you are interviewing. So please let me know what you need and if you have any issues whatsoever. Thanks, guys. Good luck.
good communication is as